We're live. Okay. Sorry, folks. We're having a little technical issues. We'll get it straightened out.
Hello everybody and welcome to Paranormal Versus, and welcome tonight to my brilliant co-host Michael Kopf from America. And tonight we have a special guest co-host, Michael. I mean, I told you, didn't I?
I didn't realize I was playing two roles today.
What's your name again? Matt Atkinson is joining me here in my wonderful kitchen tonight. So we're just waiting for our guest to come along, and when he does, we'll get on with chatting. But we're just waiting for him coming on. So we're going to just have a chat amongst ourselves in the meantime. So feel free to put any comments or anything like that, and we'll answer your questions as long as it's about the paranormal mind.
And for those of you in the chat room, make sure you give StreamYard permission to use your Facebook so we know who you are.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's Daryl.
Oh, it's Daryl.
Oh.
Hi, Daryl.
Hi, Daryl.
Hello, Laura. Oh, there's somebody there. Hello, Michael Kopf.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You're popular, aren't you?
Apparently, I am.
Yeah.
So, what's going on with you, Kell, in the paranormal lately?
We've lately acquired 2 new locations that we're going to investigate, and we've got them for a fair period of time. So we're starting on Sunday to investigate one of them, and then the following Sunday we're investigating the other one. So me and Matt's just been sorting out our equipment along with my other team member Leslie. Obviously she's been at work, so she kind of joined me to do that. So we've been sorting everything out and just linking our equipment together and sorting out what we've got. Matt's got a fairly good camera, so we're going to try and turn it into a documentary series type thing.
Yeah. That's the plan. So
I like Matt's pointing to the camera.
It's behind me there. It's a Blackmagic Cinema 4K mounted in a cage with all the bits and pieces. So so it should be cinema quality video. So that'll be good.
Wow.
Good for that one.
Yeah. So what you been up to, Michael? Anyway.
Podcasting, but Friday I have an investigation actually at Fort Walters, which will be a fun break, and then Saturday volunteering at a performing arts center, something totally different.
Wow.
And then back to podcasting the following week.
Cool.
So you've got a busy week ahead. Then.
Say that again?
So you've got a busy week ahead.
I do.
Wow. Rather you than me.
Well, I have a family thing next weekend, so I won't be in town for that. So, but then the following weekend, I'll be at Fear Fest, New Orleans.
Wow. Cool.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Wow.
I know. It's like sprung up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it certainly has. I just wish I had it being able to make it.
That's somewhere I really want to go one day. New Orleans. So
New Orleans.
Yeah, it's a fun town.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
See, Michael can do better.
Yeah, well, he's American, isn't
he? Well, I'm also a neighbor.
It's true.
It's the next state over. It's like, it's close.
Well, I've got a question for you, saying like obviously that we've got a little bit of time on our hands. Have you seen anything over there about Mexico? Was it Mexico? Or...
Yeah. These alien. Apparently they found some aliens, or they've gone. It's all gone. The media are on it now, and they've gone. They've gone live about it, if you like. Apparently they found some alien bodies. Whether they're mummified aliens or something, I don't know. But apparently they're 100 years old. It's been all over the news in the UK the last couple of days. It went out on Mexican television or something, and they were talking about it in Mexican Congress. So, and they're only small. They only look like they're about a foot long. So, I don't know. Interesting stuff. They look like greys, your stereotypical greys, really, with the big eyes and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know whether it's true or not, or whether it's just some kind of hoax. We're yet to, find out, really.
Right. Yeah, I just became aware of it yesterday, and with getting all the stuff ready for today and next week, I haven't had a chance to look at any of the stories or footage, but yeah, somebody brought it to my attention. I think it was in the Facebook group that Mexico had a ET encounter or conference or telling.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that when our fans, bring stuff to our attention. We check it out when we get a chance.
Yeah, exactly. So apart from that, is anything else been happening in the UFO world over there with Congress or anything?
Right now, I think we've kind of left the UFO talks, and we have other governmental issues going on right now. Let's see, the Senate is voting or talking about impeaching our president.
Impeaching the president?
Is that Biden, obviously?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't have much time for Biden, if I'm honest, really. Yeah.
But, yeah, and so we're hopeful on that and getting our country back into a good place.
Yep.
But yeah, let's not get ourselves banned going into politics.
Yeah, let's not.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, paranormal wise though, I am happy to say that we currently have, I believe I just looked at, let me check before I make this statement. We will have 28 episodes done this year, which is incredible for Paranormal Versus because being that it's every other week, it should be around 24. So we actually got some extra shows in.
Yeah, but there again, there has been a couple of shows cancelled. So we should.
I accounted for that.
Yeah. Oh, you accounted for that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
That is pretty cool.
And he's in the house tonight, so his nickname.
Hello. We've got a question I have with Michael.
Yeah. What happened after life and death? Well, I think the best person to ask that of is John Davis.
Yes.
The best person to ask about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I strongly believe, like, when we die, we do go to a place like the way that John described it, and then we remember who we actually are, because I do believe that we'll put you to learn lessons, and then we either carry on learning lessons in another life after that, or we just go forward.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any finality. I don't think there's and nicknames asking doppelgangers. No, that's a fun topic that we could talk about.
Yeah. Actually, I was watching a TikTok the other day about a woman. She's claims to have seen a doppelganger of her husband. She thought her husband had came in and she was upstairs, and she went downstairs and he wasn't there. And then she phoned her husband and he said he was still at the gym. So he says, just stay where you are. And she went back down the stairs, and her husband came through the door, completely ignored her. And she was like, well, who was it that came in before? And he still completely ignored her, walked through into the dining room. And then the next thing, she heard a door go, and she went to the front door, and there was her husband at the front door coming in. So she went back through into the dining room, and there was nobody there. And she says there's no way he could have went out and around to the front of the house because it just wasn't possible. So she was absolutely convinced that she'd seen her husband's doppelganger. So that was quite an interesting one.
I've heard rumours too that if you see your own doppelganger, that means you're about to die. I don't know if you've heard that as well, Michael. But,
I haven't heard that about the death, but I do have a funny story about doppelgangers.
Wow.
So my mom had hurt her shoulder and asked me to go pick up some clothes for her at the store. And the ladies knew me there because I would go and help my mom. And when I walked into the store, they said, "Oh, you're back?" And I said, "I beg your pardon?" And they go, "You were just here like 10 minutes ago." I was like, "I just got here." And they go, "Your doppelganger was here 10 minutes ago."
Wow.
So I literally just missed my own self.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Could you imagine being 2 years out there?
You know,
as long as you get to see him, that should be the main thing because you want your dynamo. So
it's interesting you say that because on my series, on my other show, Riding Through the Unknown, we were discussing that they have clones of those people that are in the programs. And so they can activate them, and you can literally have yourself walking around, say, in the UK while you're in the US.
Wow.
And literally have your doppelganger around.
So you could be one of many then, Michael.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they only have a finite existence, though. It's like they're activated and then a certain amount of time, and then they cease.
Oh, dear.
Well, then.
At least that's the understanding. So, I don't know. So, it makes me wonder all these doppelganger claims, if they're people that are in the programs, their clones being activated and doing stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting when you think about it.
Yeah. Wow.
So we have a big question in from Andy Decode. What if all the paranormal is just the universe being itself and that's all it is?
That's a possible. That's a big possibility. We don't know what the universe is actually doing. Nobody knows. So yeah, that is a huge possibility.
Universal.
Well, and the interesting thing is we're not in a universe. We're in a multiverse. There are several universes. So it's
like this James Webb telescope. They've recently, the last couple of years, they've got into space. They've got it working. They're looking at now and they're seeing galaxies that they didn't even see before with Hubble. That are far, far, far away. So it's infinite, isn't it? I mean, we don't know how big it is.
Right, and I think more and more people are getting smarter and not falling for the governmental cover-up stories like we used to because we didn't know better. Like my favorite example is we have satellites around the Earth, which is a sphere, so we can talk to everybody anywhere. But the moon, they say we can't talk to one side of the moon because no signals get there. It's like, well, why don't we put a satellite up there to cover that and communicate? But NASA, the space program that put our satellites over the planet, says, no, we won't put a satellite on the moon. So it's like they purposefully don't want us to talk to or see what's on the other side.
Of course they don't. Of course. I mean, I personally don't believe in the moon landings. I mean, come on, that little flimsy thing land on the moon and then go back up and there was no debris or nothing like that.
And only now can they actually send spacecraft to the moon.
Well, I think we have been to the moon. I don't think it was like they showed us, to where it's like they're bouncing around and sticking flags in and being like, yeah, we stepped foot. I believe we have been to the moon, and we have personnel on the moon, because there has been reports that like somebody pinged the moon. They literally pinged it, and it sent back a sonic sound.
Yeah.
Where if you ping the Earth, there is no sonic sound back. So it's like,
Yeah, I've heard
how
that.
is the moon generating a sound?
Well, I heard that something happened. I think it was the Mercury space missions or something, where they sent something, or they fired some part of the spacecraft down onto the moon, and rumor has it that it rang like a bell for God knows how long.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah. So I mean, the theory is that it's hollow. So yeah. Got a few messages coming from Nickname and Andy again.
Nickname is asking, what if the universe multi-dimension is not expanding but closing? I don't think it would be closing, because it's matter, and matter can't be destroyed. So I don't know why it would get smaller.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I'm just laughing at Nickname's other comments at the bottom.
Oh, I seen it.
Yeah.
We'll save that one for a little bit. Andy's asking, what if the para is not para and is normal? Better worded, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that day will come when it does become normal, and we will just, it will just be deemed as normal.
Then what we got to talk about, people like us.
Yeah.
It'll become very boring.
Yeah.
All of our shows would evolve. That's what we do anyway, is our shows evolve from where we started to where we're at. And it's funny because, remember, Kell, I just sent you a copy of a poem I'm about to have published, and it brings up that very question.
It certainly does, yeah. Yep. Supernormal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a better word for it.
Yeah. And so Andy's saying congratulations, and that has to do with this.
Yeah. Are you going to say anything, Kell?
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, Matt proposed to us on the 12th, got down on his knee, and we're officially engaged. So.
Aww.
We've been together for a while now, so.
Oh, well, 6 months. Coming up 6 months. A while.
Well, I like how Kell's just saying we got recently engaged, and Matt's all like, no, it's been a 6-month process.
Yeah, of course. It took us 6 months to go buy the ring. At the end of the day, that we are saying is life's too short. So
yep.
And I've had a few health complications lately, so it's like at the end of the day, life is definitely too short. So what the hell?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's great if that's where you guys are at. Then by all means, I don't see it being either too short or too long of a wait.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And from Paranormal Versus to you two, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Which
is funny to say that because Kell is Paranormal Versus.
Well, one of them.
Let's
There's
see.
two in this, Michael.
I know. I own my part. But yeah, this was your brainchild that I just helped bring forth.
Well, you've done an amazing job anyway, so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to say, we have some really cool shows that are even yet to come up. We have had guests that are just paranormal investigators. We've had people who do equipment.
Mm-hmm.
We've had different topics. So, yeah, we're really expanding and really covering the paranormal, in my opinion, on this show.
Definitely, yeah. And it's like that with every single topic you can think about with the paranormal, we're actually covering as well. So that's definitely a plus.
I know it's kind of funny because on my other show, I'm doing shows where it's like I have topics of the night, and it's like our show seems to almost parallel to where I had a near death past life guest who unfortunately didn't make it, but it was right after we had John Davis on.
Didn't make it to the show, or didn't.
They didn't make it to the show. They didn't.
Sorry, I thought you were on about didn't make it, as in just forget it.
No.
My brain's just not working today. I told you, I'm just not with it.
They stopped doing interviews and forgot they had scheduled one, and so the publicist was nice to come on and fill in, and that turned out to be a really amazing show.
Wow.
About remote viewing and stuff.
It's really interesting, the remote viewing thing. I mean, years ago, I've seen a film called Men Who Stare at Ghosts.
Yep, Goats.
Yeah, obviously that's about remote viewing. So I think, that's when I started looking into that, going down that rabbit hole as well, having a look to see what was going on with that as well. And like I say, the government, they hide a lot. So be interesting to see what they come up with in the next few years, what they're actually going to tell the truth about and why they're going to tell the truth. They only do things, really, in my opinion, because of whatever reasons they want it to be, not for our good. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
So, Nickname is asking, what is the strangest story anyone has ever told you in this field? That's a loaded question.
There's been that much. I mean, I must admit, when I was on Andy's show, the weirdest thing I've ever been asked is, I think it was Andy, wasn't it? Dogman, and I've never heard of him, and I've heard of a lot of cryptids and stuff like that, but I'd never heard of Dogman, so that was quite, And when he showed us a picture, I just couldn't stop laughing. But
I'd say, I was on Andy's show too, and they asked me about Dogman, and I was like, no, and found out it was in my area, and ended up doing a little video of my investigation research into the Dogman. It was like, wow, I couldn't believe it was worldwide, and it's one of the only creatures I can say there is no pattern or no commonality to determine where and when.
Yeah. There is, about a year ago, me and my friend Leslie, we went investigating because we got told there is Bigfoot up in the lake that's not that far from where we live, in the forest there. And I got told a few stories about the place from guys that had actually experienced things up there. So we went along and we had a look and that. And but the guy who had actually researched it, I got in touch with him, asked him about what his experiences were. But then he ended up telling us a story about Simonside gnomes that were up in the countryside in Northumberland, not far from where we live as well. And basically, he reckons these gnomes lower you to the side of a cliff and get people to fall off. So I think that's got to be one of the strangest ones I've heard. So I wouldn't mind going up there and seeing if we can find these gnomes, as long as they don't try and murder us. I don't need help to fall off a cliff. I mean, how accident prone am I?
Yeah, you are.
I've fallen getting out of the bath. I've knocked myself out a few times trying to get out of the bath. And so I don't need gnomes trying to help us do that. So
Kell, you are so adorable. I was like, I won't mention two topics because I know it's like we always talk about it. It cracks you up, and when I don't mention it, you bring it up. It's like I wasn't gonna mention about Andy's show and your title, and there you go, bringing it up.
Yeah. Oh well.
No, but I think that's why our show is so popular and why we're doing so great together is because we're so transparent and so this is who we are that we everybody sees it.
Face plant, woman.
Yeah.
Face plant, not a face plank. Although Andy, you'll have to explain that one. What's a face plank?
Oh, face plank. Yeah. Face plant. He's changed it.
Yeah, face plant. That's me. I don't even know. I've lost count how many times I've face planted things. Like,
Yeah.
I know
Nickname,
it's okay.
you're
I'm used to it by now. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm curious, Nickname, you're going to have to explain this one. Remember the early days of SatNav tried to kill me daily? Are you talking about the GPSs?
Yeah,
or...
It's sending you to the wrong place.
GPS, that's what it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mine sent us to the wrong place a few times trying to get down to yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not misspelled, is it, Andy? I didn't realise that.
No, he's saying he meant faceplant, but it misspelled it to.
Yeah, I know.
Yep, she's
Turn
saying
right,
turn
turn left
right,
off a
turn left off a cliff.
Yeah. Just to let people in the audience anyway tonight know that I have got a guest that's supposed to be coming on, but obviously they must be having problems. So we're just waiting to see if they're going to come on. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
So if anybody's got any questions in the meantime, feel free to
fire them in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of backtrack and, going back to the New Orleans event that, it's a chance to come and meet me because I am one of the guest speakers.
I'm so jealous.
It's the first time that I will actually be presenting a topic at a Paracon event. So it's going to be a lot of fun and meeting up with a lot of faces that I've seen on shows and get to finally meet them in person.
Well, I was supposed to be there when originally they had the dates in October, but obviously I'm going there in October. Well, I'm going to America in October, so obviously they changed it, so I can't change my dates, so that's why I'm missing it. But I was so looking forward to meeting everybody. But there's always next year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, there's going to be one next year, and and what's really cool about this is it's a 3-day event with live music from bands. There's going to be guest speakers from a wide range of topics from paranormal to Hollywood. I think there's some people from Hollywood or TV shows that are going to be talking about their shows or experiences. And I'll be there and I'll be presenting actually a topic I don't think has ever been brought up at a convention. And my topic is paranormal investigating to podcasting and doing interviews. And so my goal is to help ease those people who are paranormal investigators into feeling comfortable coming onto shows and doing interviews.
Well, we've both done it, so I mean, you've done it. You're great at getting people to come on. So, well done, you.
Thank you. You are too.
Well, you're the one. You're the one that's most like brilliant at like explaining things. I get so tongue tied.
Well, I think that's because you focus too much on your accent.
It's because I've got to slow it down so much. If I spoke my real accent, I don't think anybody would understand. Do you reckon?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I like how she just said reckon.
Reckon.
No, that's what we see over here in America too. Is I reckon this or that. We're wearing off on you, Kell.
So many like phrases that you've got that like we even compared to Yo, because he's from down south, we call them southern softies and they call us northern monkeys. So my accent, even though England's so small, it's like his phrases and stuff like that are completely different to mine.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to try and figure me out sometimes what I was saying, didn't you?
When we first started
Yeah.
talking to each other, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to it all.
He's used to it now.
Yeah.
Well, I even used to do quizzes to see if you knew what certain words that were that what I was saying. So that was pretty fun.
I think that's everywhere because here in America, there are certain regions that it's like, say, I'm in the South, so, we understand each other. I was born in the North, so I understand them.
Mhm.
But like the Northeastern, like Boston and those areas, man, their accents and Pennsylvania Dutch accent are so hard to understand. And so it's like, yeah. So I think that's pretty common with every country is there are some areas that are either thicker or they talk too fast and you can't
Yeah.
understand a word they're saying.
Mhm. I think it's with England being so small though, especially a lot of Americans I've spoken to, the thought that I would have had like what they would call a quintessential British accent. Obviously I don't. Apparently a lot of people say I sound more like Scottish than what I do English.
Yeah. Or
So-
Mancunian. Or Manchester.
Oh, that's people. Yeah, somebody down in Cheltenham asked us if I was like from Manchester, and then where did I daughter say Scotland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scotland.
So
I
that's a
can
big-
see Scotland more than I can see Manchester.
Yeah,
But you're on the border of Scotland and England, so that may be why.
yeah, not too far. I mean, I lived like directly what would have been the border, like enough 2,000 years ago, because we've got this big thing, up the road, 200 yards up the road, that used to divide England with Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah. that little thing that is of
Little
no
thing, yeah.
importance.
Yeah. We're gonna have to go there now.
I know. Yeah, we are.
Just to make Michael happy. We'll film a little documentary just for Michael.
I'd have no qualms with that.
Well, you should get your ass over here and we'll take you up there. We'll
I'm
just
working on
bench
it.
on the wall, like just right at the side of the wall, and we can stay there as long as you like.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind sleeping at the wall.
There's not much of it left. I wouldn't want to be sleeping like where my house is, like around there. But you'll probably get mugged or something. Somebody will steal your tent. Or you'll wake up with some like random homeless person snuggled up to you in the middle of the night. You'll think it's a ghost and it's not. It'll probably be as tame as one, but some of the
No, I do. I am hoping to come to the UK next year.
Yeah, you need to.
I gotta work out a few details. I got some details worked out, but there's still a few others because I'm of the opinion of I like to when I travel places like being in the UK. So I have friends in Scotland. Being so close to Scotland, it's like I feel like I need to go and visit them too, those places. And then I have friends in mainland Europe, and I'm like, I'm so close. Can I hitch a ride over to there and see them too?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's hard for me to schedule. Is I try to pack in as much because it's hard to go overseas sometimes.
Well, all you need to do is just like hire a car, and I mean we've got the Channel Tunnel there, so you can drive from Scotland all the way down England, and then jump on the Channel Tunnel and go through to Europe.
Yeah, it's just I'm also though having to figure out like say I have a friend in Holland that wants to do something. Well, I got to make sure they're available too, and so I'm not stepping foot in Holland, and they're like, "Wait, what?"
Is that Captain? I can't remember. Robert.
Do what?
In Holland, your friend in Holland, is that Robert? Is it Robert?
I do have a friend, Robert, in Holland.
Yeah. thought that was what you mean.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends all over the country I've met on Facebook that I've promised to visit, and so there's to answer nicknames question. So it would be Scotland, Ireland,
Scotland.
the UK.
Yeah.
There's obviously I would go to the UK to visit Andy and Kell and nickname. And
well, what we should do is set him a challenge when he actually drives from like up to visit us to Andy's. You should go on the magic roundabout if you're driving.
I ain't driving.
Oh,
you guys drive nuts over there. The driver's wheel should be on the left side of the car, not the right side.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, we shouldn't. It should be you guys that change it.
I think you're like one of the only countries that does that.
Yeah, but we've been doing it longer, so we've been doing it since it was horse and carriage, you see, so.
So wait, your horse and carriages had steering wheels?
It certainly did.
I'm like, man, these are some high-tech horse and carriages going on over there. Do they have turn signals too?
Well, they did. How did you guess?
No, but one place though, if I was to drive, there is one highway in Europe that I would just love to get on, and that's the Autobahn.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, that's what I just said to him.
I'm like, just the thought of open road, any speed you want. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Have you guys done the Autobahn?
I've been on it, but I wasn't going very fast. I had a job a few years ago where I was to and froing from between the UK and Germany and Spain and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, there was a point where we did drive down the Autobahn, but we were in a big van full of equipment, sort of audio-visual equipment, so we couldn't really, put our foot down and go for it. But, we saw Lamborghinis and Porsches and Ferraris just whizzing past, 200 miles an hour at least, probably. So, yeah.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
I think I read somewhere that they're starting to moderate the speed on it now, that it's not so open because of all the accidents.
I'm not sure. Don't know.
Or maybe they tried and the people were like, nope.
Yeah, I know that there was a female that was trying to become prime minister. I think it was last year or something. That she said that if she got into office to be prime minister, she was going to put our speed limits up. So, on the national speed limit roads, motorways and stuff like that, we didn't have a speed limit. But she never got in. So.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why.
You would probably beat the man if there was no speed limit. You'd probably get here within about an hour and a half.
Probably.
The way you drive.
Well.
Yeah. Well, the problem here in America is we have speed limits, but when you read the driver's manual that teaches you how to drive, it clearly says in the driver's manual, this is the recommended speed, is what's posted.
Mm-hmm.
And then they try to enforce it, and it's like, wait, if it's a recommendation, how do you enforce it? Because it doesn't say you have to.
Exactly. It can't be law if that was the case.
Yeah, so I think it's a matter of we sort of adopted it as a law without rewriting the books, and probably somebody ought to go back and rewrite those books.
Yeah.
Just like history needs to be rewritten, because a lot of that information.
I think they need to tell with the truth of history, and there's a lot of things that they're not telling with the truth on. So.
Yeah. I mean.
Well.
But, so I'm kind of curious between the two of you talking about history. If you could go back to one moment in history and watch it play out, what moment would you pick?
Ooh, so many.
Top 3 then, Kell.
I don't know, because I'm obsessed with the War of the Roses. So, like, I would like to go back to one of their, like, when is it Edward IV became king, or when he met Elizabeth Woodville under that big oak tree. I would love to see
So-
things like that.
I'll make it easy for you, Kell. We'll put down 1 for you is the War of the Roses.
Yeah.
You can go back and watch that play out. So what would be 2 others?
Yeah. And seeing that, I would like to, obviously, I read a little bit about what you told, obviously, because you looked up about my family history, family tree. So there was that Eva the Red, that was the Irish princess. And apparently she used to command soldiers of her own and stuff like that. So I would love to see how she works as well.
You know, that's an interesting premise. Would, go back and meet your ancestors and be like, would you, if, like, say somebody was going, sneaking up on and was going to assassinate your ancestor, would you, would you try to stop him and be like, hey, I need to exist?
Is this why we're talking about where my 22nd great grandfather killed your ancestor?
No.
They call it a paradox or something, don't they? If they wipe out certain ancestors, would you ever exist? Yeah.
No, I wouldn't intervene. I would just like to watch.
Because that raises an interesting question of, if you go back in time and watch, how do you know? Because if the date is different and they say, oh, so and so died, does that mean you cease because it was the wrong date?
Yeah, possibly.
Or would you just shift timelines and move into a different dimension, like a parallel universe thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what you said, wasn't it? A paradox or something? Paradox.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you then, Michael. If you could get the truth about one event or one paranormal, like, entity or whatever like that, what would it be?
Ooh, that'd be hard. The only one that's jumping out right now in my head is Amityville, just because that seems to be like the one seed that started everything. But actually, I take it back. The Mary Celeste. Find out what happened to that crew.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Yeah. Not a bad one, that one. Titanic, whether it was actually the Olympic.
Yeah.
So many
Actually, it's been proven it is the Olympic, because they have photos that they took of the hull to where the word Titanic is lifted up and it has LYM, which only would appear in Olympic, not in Titanic, engraved in the hull. So it's like, unfortunately, the stickers.
Didn't they say that it looked like it exploded, not imploded? Like, obviously, where so that's starting to look like that was a bit of a cover up as well. Just to say, a shame it took out so many, like, obviously thousands of people obviously to get the insurance money. That is true.
Well, not only that, but it was so some of the people, it's kind of been found out, and it's a series of coincidences, so to speak, is a lot of bankers for the U.S. were in Europe and sailed across the Titanic, and they were going to be casting a vote about us having a Federal Reserve or not.
Yeah, that was right.
And everybody that was for the Federal Reserve canceled their trip on the Titanic before it set sail. And those that were in favor of blocking it were killed on the Titanic. And so it begs the question of, why would the people who were, coming across as well back out if they didn't know something was going to happen?
Yeah, that's true. That seems a bit obvious as well.
Yeah. And the fact that, ships hit icebergs a lot.
Yeah.
You can't avoid them because you can't see them under the water, but every ship knows you travel at a slow speed to bounce off it,
Yeah, they
and
sped
they
up.
were ordered full speed.
Yeah, that's right. Ridiculous. Obviously, we've just had the anniversary 9/11 as well. So
We did.
What's your opinion on the whole conspiracy theory behind that?
So, with my dad being in construction and having that background, we talked with one day over lunch. We just happened to be sitting with a group of, near a group of people that were in construction and they know demolitions. And they said when you looked at the 9/11, there were little plumes of smoke, small plumes on levels. And the fact that it came straight down is a controlled demolition.
Yeah.
And that was not from the plane, and that a plane's jet fuel does not melt when ignited steel, and yet all the steel was melted down. Only thermite can do that.
Actually, that's what I said to you the other day, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did.
So yeah, and so the towers, yes, they were taken down, and yes, people lost their lives, but it's another coincidence of, like I was mentioning with the Titanic, is inside the buildings were government agencies, and one government agency had all of its representatives that day, for the first time in history, not show up to work.
Wow.
And the owner of the building took out an extra insurance policy to cover that incident.
Yeah.
Like a week or two before it happened. And so it begs the question of, why would you take out insurance against something that's never happened, most likely never going to happen, unless you knew it was a guaranteed payout?
Exactly. Yeah.
And there were unmarked vans found in the garage underneath all the rubble, where they said it looked like that's where some of the, how they say, like, if there's a fire, they can find the point of origin from the spray out of the flames and everything.
Yeah.
Well, some of them had that around the vans, and so they're like, if it was a jet, how did the basement have flint, like an ignition source activation? And people were telling their loved ones they were hearing explosions coming from below where they were, but the planes were above. So why would they hear explosions below before the plane hit?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's video evidence of that as well, isn't there? Out on YouTube, or there was a few years ago.
There was, and the biggest tell that 9/11 was a kind of cover-up false flag incident was, most people don't remember this, but as the news was reporting the two towers went down, remember the third tower that shook and collapsed, but yet nothing hit
was
it?
that Tower 7 or something?
Tower 7, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Where it collapsed, but yet no plane hit it, no, nothing touched it. And all of a sudden they go, oh my God, a tower just went down. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute. What caused that tower to go down? And that was scrubbed. You never saw it hitting, anything about that. And the same thing with the Pentagon.
Yeah, nicknames just said about that. Yeah, no one saw a plane, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you think holograms, like what people have reported, like says that there were holograms, there wasn't actually a plane that went into them. Nobody actually seen a plane. Or do you think it was actually a plane that flew into them?
I think the plane was CGI'd in. And I don't think anything actually hit the buildings. And I think it was just a smoke screen, because it's like when you go back and you watch the footage of like the people, and I hate to say this, but when you look at the footage of the people screaming down below, some of them are like, "Oh my god, a plane hit." Well, when you're looking at the tower is still intact, and
Yeah.
it's like a few seconds later you see the impact, and you're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! How did you know the tower was getting hit by a plane before the plane showed up
Mm.
Yeah.
and hit the tower?"
hmm
And so, I mean,
Unless
that's
these people could have been a plant, like they were planted there just for, you know what I mean, like extras type of thing to say that.
Mm.
yeah, it looked like a movie when you get out of the emotions of it and rewatch it all. It
Yeah.
looks like you're watching a movie
Mm.
where the people are like acting like they're afraid and everything, and their and nickname is right with the Pentagon. They actually have photos where they've found from the original footage of the incident that people took, where you see a plane going up and something leaves the plane, and all of a sudden the Pentagon is up in smoke.
Mm. Somebody
And
took that from a gas station or something, didn't they? Just on the outskirts of where the Pentagon is, I think, and it's really bad footage. But yeah, I'm sure I've seen that or heard of it.
yeah, and the thing that people don't realize is, so the parking lot of the Pentagon has light posts up, to illuminate the parking lot at night,
Mm.
Yeah.
staggered every so often, to cover a large area because these are military personnel.
hmm
So when they said a plane hit the side of the building, everybody looked to the parking lot and every light post was still standing. No plane can hit the side of a building without knocking over the light poles.
Not a 747 or whatever it was supposed to be, anyway. Mm.
And so that's why you'll notice when they started talking about the Pentagon, all footage was the wall. They stopped doing the wide scope saying, look at, how this happened. It was everything was on, and the building section that was hit was where all the legal documents of a president who was under investigation were
Mm.
being held. So all
I
those
heard.
documents were destroyed conveniently.
And all the financial records and all that kind of stuff.
So there's a whole lot of coincidences around everything that just starts to add up to something's not right.
Everything that we talk about, like the conspiracies, end up being quite political as well.
Mm. Mm. And of course, there was another plane, wasn't there, that was supposedly brought down and crashed into a field somewhere.
That was in Pennsylvania.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I'd say now a fun fact was, living where I live, there was a plane that was supposed to take off and detonate itself into the telecommunications hub, which is probably 6 miles from my house, like a 5-minute drive. And so I was quite happy to hear that the military and TSA arrested the guys with the box cutters and everything before the plane took off.
Yeah.
And I think it was because their flight was delayed. And so they didn't have the ability to be in the air and take off, where I think because they were still on the ground and everything was being reported happening, that they were able to grab them and put an end to it. And I was like, man, talk about blind luck and relief because that would have at most shaken and probably collapsed the house we're living in and wouldn't have even known about it.
Mm-hmm.
But because of timing and they didn't take off on time or whatever was in our favor, it was stopped. And it was like, man, to think you came that close to being a statistic.
Well, that's pretty scary when you think about it.
And I actually flew to New York in November, right after 9/11.
Wow.
Did you go anywhere near it? Well,
I didn't go to the crash site because it was still too new, and my friend that was over there was like, "No, let's stay back." And ironically, I didn't even see the Statue of Liberty. It's like I didn't even go to Liberty Island.
Wow.
I got to go back to visit Liberty Island, but
Yeah, they do the
Ellis
Staten Island
Island.
ferry that takes you across.
is it actually called Liberty Island or is it Staten Island?
There's Liberty Island, and then there's
It's
Staten
Liberty or Ellis Island.
Oh, no, right, okay. It just confuses me with the amount of. I don't know.
Island.
I think it depends on who you ask and where you're asking, because
Yeah.
They do the Staten Island ferry, which I believe is free, or it used to be. But it takes you from Battery Park on the southern tip of Manhattan all the way down to Staten Island, but it goes past Liberty Island. So, when you're going, you can look over to your right and you can see the Statue of Liberty.
I think it was originally called Ellis Island because all the immigrants came in through Ellis Island. And they were coming in by the statue, or I guess maybe it was always called Liberty. I don't know. That's a interesting one to look up. Was it always Liberty Island, or? But yeah, and it's just amazing of the fact that I was like, we talk about the news media and everything, being corrupt and everything over here to where you can't really believe anything that they say. But I found out when I got back. So the story goes, when I flew from Dallas to New York, the military was there. They were walking around in like groups of 2 or 4, just randomly walking, patrolling. And they had handguns when I left, strapped to their sides.
Wow.
When I come back and get through customs, I see the military walking around with assault rifles. And I'm like, what in bloody hell happened over the weekend?
Wow.
Come to find out, when I flew back on a Sunday, that Saturday, the day before, somebody put a bomb threat on the airport.
Oh, Andy's just got a new question popped up. Thoughts on Denver Airport then? Yes, I've heard a few stories about Denver Airport.
That's like the murals and stuff like that they've got.
Yeah, they're on the basement level of the Denver Airport are all these murals depicting satanic symbolism and Nazi propaganda and all this dark energy. I haven't flown into Denver, so I haven't seen it firsthand, but I have seen the photos of them, and it is like, why it is murals that you have to question why. Like, one is a statue, guy in Nazi uniform that's skeletal, standing over kids, crying. And it's like, what are we trying to depict here to make people want to come and, visit Denver? It's like, why is this a draw? What is going on? Why would the airport paint this in there? And that's the nicest image. They get worse from there.
Yeah. And he's just seeing the giant blue horse outside.
Now, I don't know anything about the giant blue horse, to be honest. So
I've heard something about it, yeah. I'm not too sure what it's supposed to depict, but...
Lucifer, it's called.
Lucifer. Ah.
We'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that one a little bit more.
Definitely.
But
we've got a Facebook user there saying, "What's up, beautiful badasses?" Haven't got a clue who you are, but hello.
Yeah, nickname, I just saw this. Going back to conspiracies, what about JFK and Marilyn Monroe? So, truth be told, I have just started uncovering stuff that shows that JFK didn't die in Dallas, that it was a double.
Really?
Wow.
And that he lived out his life, and either died recently or may still be around. I don't know if it's true,
That's an
but
interesting.
I do know that
Well,
JFK did
didn't he have
have.
an affair with Marilyn Monroe? And he told her a few stories about aliens or something, and she knew it, and the CIA or whatever decided to give her some injection or something when she was asleep and kill her off. That's what I heard.
Well, and I think that the CIA brought her told her to go to the White House too,
Uh,
because JFK didn't want to go to Vietnam. He was anti the Vietnam War.
uh,
Two, he was going to expose the fact that we were in space.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he gave the famous speech, "We'll be in space by the end of the decade," because he wanted to expose the fact we were already there.
Yeah.
And thirdly, was he knew he was the last president that apparently was read in on the alien races that were working with the governments. And so he was going to bring it to light. And that's why there was Majestic 12, Project Blue Book, is he wanted to get the military to come forward and state stuff. And so they had to take him out because he was wanting to disclose too much.
Wow.
Interesting. Definitely.
You know, I have to say, I'm starting to think that America has become more of a conspiracy than the UK.
Wow.
Does America actually exist, though?
Joking.
Actually, Kell, that's not far from the truth, because there are some people that say that the treaties in the U.S. was never truly formally recognized, and we are still a colony of the UK. And there are other people that say, no, we did win our independence, but we are still linked to the UK. And so it's like we're not truly our own free nation, that we are.
Well, if you truly are linked to the UK still, shouldn't that mean that I won't need my passport to come over?
Well, see, so one of the interesting things is, so America has been run under two governments, two constitutions. I've recently become aware of this and had friends telling me about it. So there was the U.S. that Washington formed and everything. And then when the Federal Reserve started coming up and a lot of those agencies, all of a suddenly there was the Constitution of the Corporation of America. And the corporate America is when we're born here in America, we have birth certificates and we're given social security numbers. Our social security numbers are sent to Great Britain, to the UK, to a bank, and they hold the power over you. It's like we are not, we're servants to a British bank, and all of our tax money that we pay, we think goes to our government, and our government uses it. There have been people that have found that our tax dollars goes to Great Britain, to the UK.
Well, I wonder where that one goes, because it doesn't go on us.
I know. It's like, wait a minute. And so it's like...
Yeah, there's that theory on I've been watching a lot on TikTok about the straw man. It's like, obviously we're given a number, and that number's obviously generating, what was it called? What's that word? I'll think of it. But there's, like, when we get debt and stuff like that, that's our straw man that's created that, not actually us. So
yeah. So
apparently
nickname...
we're legally registered dead as well, apparently. Dead at sea or something when we're born. That's another theory that I've heard.
Yeah. So nickname, we could get into black projects, but we're already over an hour.
Yep.
And we would need another hour at least to discuss the black projects.
Definitely. I mean, times flew considering that we haven't got a guest on. So
I know.
Unfortunately, I just hope he's okay.
Yeah, that's a shame because I
Yeah.
put quite a few questions together. For
I
him.
know. I had one too from Andy that was a really good question to ask him. So
Well, hopefully we can get him on another date and like obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I say, it happens. Unfortunately, there's things go wrong in people's lives, or they have technical faults and they can't get on. So we've just got to make best of it the way we can.
Exactly.
Yep, and it could be as simple as he misunderstood the time and thought it was 7:30 my time, and so
Yeah.
he's gonna be up early and going, okay, I'm ready for the show. Wait, what?
And we'll be in bed.
But yeah, and so we do wish our best to Dave Hodrian, who was to be our guest,
Yeah.
and we hope all is okay with him.
Yeah. But like I say, hopefully we can get him on another date. So, but I think we're now fully booked, aren't we now, until after Christmas, New Year for Paranormal Versus?
We are, but there's a little bit of flexibility with that, depending on how our schedules work out. So,
to be quite honest, I mean, I'm going to have to get my finger out with that because I've got a couple of really quite high-profile guests, which I don't want to say who they are yet. That's actually agreed to come on the show. So I forgot all about it, to be fair, because like I say, the last few weeks have been really busy for me. So I'm going to have to get my finger out and get them booked in. So we'll have to come up with a few dates for them, because I think it'll be pretty interesting having these people on.
yeah. So with that being said, I know you guys are used to seeing us on Thursdays, and it may come down to a possibility of we may have to jump ship to a Friday or a Wednesday or a Monday to get everything squeezed in. So make sure you stay tuned to the group, our Facebook group, Paranormal Versus, and make sure you pay attention to our pages because that's where we announce the shows.
Yeah, certainly. But anyway, I want to thank everybody who's joined in the chat. Sorry that we couldn't name the people that were Facebook users that spoke to it because we don't know who you are. You've got to give StreamYard permission to use your name. So, but anyway, we really do appreciate everybody who's given a hand to get this show, like asking questions and stuff like that. So it actually really helps us when that happens, when we get people that chime in and like ask questions and stuff like that, because helps the show go over more smoothly and gives us something to talk about extra that maybe we've forgotten. So
right.
So that being said, Michael, I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to say anything?
Just I think you've done well considering. Yeah, shame about it, but these things happen. So
I will say, because of me being in New Orleans at the end of the month with Fear Fest, our next episode is not in 2 weeks. It's actually next week. And do you guys remember who our guest is?
You're talking about me here, I can't even remember my name half the time.
I'm wondering if Matt remembers.
Oh. No. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't.
Colin Sanders.
Ah.
Cool.
Wow.
So make sure you make sure you come back next week, Thursday, the 21st, for our next episode of the month.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Definitely. So I'll let you close up then, Michael. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. So from all of us here, everyone out there, whether it's good morning, good evening, or good night, have a fun time.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us at Paranormal Versus. Hope to see you on our next episode.
God,
Ah.